Well, I'll start this one off and then we can kick it off open forum, boys. I have it titled Surviving in a Feminized Society. And it's off the Hunter and Hunted episode I did over on the second channel. Just building some stuff off of that. I was going to make this in an episode, but I figured why not cover this with the group? You know, how to stay masculine in a weak world. I may make this an episode. We'll see. If you're a man living in today's world, you probably felt this quiet pressure to tone yourself down, whether it's at work. You don't want to be seen as aggressive, or maybe it's in dating when you're told to be a little softer, more emotionally available. But when you do, women lose interest. We already know all that. Maybe it's in the media where strong men are portrayed as villains or idiots, while passive, indecisive guys, are put on the pedestal. The funny, stupid, idiot dude. We all know the trope. And whatever the case, one thing is clear. Masculinity is definitely not celebrated anymore at all in today's society. The traits that used to be respected, things like strength, decisiveness, resilience, are now seen as problematic. Meanwhile, men are encouraged to be passive, like overly agreeable and constantly self-doubting. And what has that led to? It's a generation of men that lack confidence, direction, and purpose, which is a lot of issues that young men are facing today acutely. And the reality is that no one's going to hand you your masculinity in society. If you want to be strong, respected, successful, you have to take it upon yourself to develop those traits. And that starts with understanding that masculinity isn't just strictly dominance or control. It's self-reliance, leadership, and discipline. And then the first thing I got here is what men usually neglect first. And it's found mostly in weak men, the body. And if you're not taking care of yourself physically, you're already at a disadvantage. You don't have to be a bodybuilder, but strength does matter. A strong body, I'm not talking about like strength at what numbers you could get on a lift. I mean, just having a strong body will translate into the strong mind that I always talk about. When you're out of shape, it's harder to be confident. It's harder to stand your ground. You don't carry yourself the same. And whether people admit it or not, we all judge each other based on physical appearance. That's a brutal fact, and you're not getting over it in society today. Literally, you feel this presence when you're out in public and you size up men. When men size each other up, you look at a guy, he's either small, scrawny, weak, or big, strong as fuck, and it adjusts the way you talk to somebody, or how far you may push the envelope if you get into a disagreement, or just how nice you are, or, cordial you are with somebody from the get-go. You do this subconsciously without even thinking it. So not taking care of yourself, well, especially if you're not taking care of yourself physically, you're at a disadvantage. And it's harder to stand your ground. You don't carry yourself the same way. And you don't need to be the biggest guy in the room. That's also a thing. We don't need to get super radical. You don't need to look like fucking Arnold and shit. But if you do look like you take care of yourself, people do respect you more. You'll respect yourself more. That's, without saying much. Simple things, good posture, a solid handshake, athletic build, all of these make a difference, including in the boardroom or where you're selling to people or just interacting in general. It just makes your interactions better. Okay. And it's not just about looking good, like attractive. Training your body teaches you discipline, and discipline bleeds into other parts of your life. That is why we admire people that are usually physically fit, because we know other aspects of their life usually carry the same kind of dedication. Because this is an individual who shows self-control and consistency over the long term. And then the mindset is the next thing. A lot of guys struggle because they let the outside opinions dictate their actions. They're constantly second-guessing themselves, wondering if they're saying the right thing and worried about how everybody sees them. But if you're always looking for approval, no one ever is going to take you seriously. Confidence isn't something you can really fake. It comes from being competent. See, when you build skills, you take care of yourself, and you make decisions without hesitation, confidence follows naturally. But most guys today really overthink everything to the point where they paralyze themselves. They hesitate, they let emotions take over, they lack control completely. And that competence thing that stems or spawns confidence, this is what we mean when we say, like, take small steps every single day. Just be 1% better than you were yesterday. Just try to reach a goal that's maybe 3 days out, then 7 days out, and then do 2 weeks, and then do a month. As you become more and more proficient at whatever it is that you do, more and more confidence you get used to succeeding, used to being good at whatever it is that you're doing. And from that feeling good, you will become confident in what you do. You can't get it otherwise. It's the journey leading up to the completion of the task that will give you a little bit of confidence. And you build on that. The more and more competent you become at something, the more and more confidence you will have. Okay. It's just a natural thing that happens. Or the guy's wondering, like, I don't have any confidence. Well, start to work on getting good at something, and you will. And then another problem that I talked earlier about was the emotional control. So being in control of your emotions is one thing, but being ruled by them is entirely a whole nother fucking animal. A man who can't regulate his emotions, making rash decisions, overreacting, that kind of emotional bullshit, you lose a lot of respect from people. Okay. You think about it. What's more attractive? A guy who stays calm under pressure, who doesn't let the small things get to him, or the guy that spirals into self-doubt, lashes out at people when things don't go their way, and constantly seeks like reassurance, always asking for somebody's second opinion. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think I should, it just gives off that kind of energy that you don't have self-assurance. Life is going to test you. Work, stress, relationships, whatever setbacks you may face, they're all inevitable. It's guaranteed to happen. If every time something doesn't go your way, you fold or get overly emotional, you'll struggle to be taken seriously, both by men and women. And the solution to this is learn how to handle challenges without losing your head. If a woman pulls away, you don't panic. Stay focused on your goals. If work throws something unexpected at you, you don't complain. You just adapt to it. If someone disrespects you, address it without getting worked up. The strongest men aren't the loudest or most aggressive. They're the ones who stay composed and make smart decisions, no matter the situation. If somebody can emotionally manipulate you, you lost, dude. You're below them in IQ, in intelligence. You're allowing somebody to play you like a fiddle. Don't let people work you up. That's the first sign that you are not in control of yourself. And whether it's in relationships, your career, your social circle, men who take the lead are the ones who get respected, right? Because at the core of what it is to be a man is essentially leadership. This doesn't mean being like overbearing or trying to control people. It just means being decisive. You have a plan and you take responsibility. Most guys today wait around for permission, or they'll hesitate, hoping someone else will make the call for them. But in reality, the world respects the men who just handles shit. In a relationship, women don't want a guy who constantly asks, what should we do? They want a guy who says, we're doing this, and you get it done. You have a plan for stuff. At work, the people who move up are the ones that take initiative, not the ones waiting to be told what to do. So if you're feeling stuck, ask yourself, are you leading your own life, or are you waiting for someone else to do it for you? And the problem a lot of men face today isn't just the external pressure, it's internal. Society may push weakness, but at the end of the day, you decide whether or not you accept it. Okay, you can either take responsibility for your life or blame everything on outside forces. And the guys who spend all their time complaining about feminism, social media, or modern dating, they're wasting their energy on things they can't control. Yes, the world did change. And yes, traditional masculinity isn't encouraged like it used to be. But the men who are thriving today are the ones that aren't crying about that shit. They're the ones adapting and building themselves into the men who can't be ignored. I tell you guys that all the time. Competition is in the fucking gutter today. To make yourself stand out from the crowd is easier than it's ever been. You just have to follow the basics of taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit. Once you align all those things, you find your purpose in life. Get up every day, do what you have to do, right? Do what makes you excited, and you'll be head over heels above everybody else, dude, standing tall, because everybody else is lost. They'll be coping with whatever it is that they're doing. Porn, video games, drugs, alcohol, blah, blah, blah. You name it. There's a million things you could get lost in the world today. Shit that could get out of control. You just have to do the little things, and that'll separate you from the pack. And ways to separate yourself from the pack first, we'll get into a couple of these. I got a couple of them. Is number one, fix your environment. That's like the easiest one that you could do. And might be the costliest, but as far as the most immediate impact without any like self-work done is changing your environment. Who you surround yourself with matters. If you spend your time around passive, weak men who make excuses for everything, that's going to rub off on you, man. It's infectious. It invades your mind. If your friends complain about how unfair life is, but never take action, guess what? You'll start doing the same thing. Birds of a feather flock together. It's really true. Strong men find or build their tribe. They align themselves with people who push them, not the ones who drag them down. If you don't have that right now, it's on you to seek it out. You either got to join a gym where the guys are training seriously, not one of those like LA fitness gyms where a bunch of fucking moms are there after work, like real hardcore gyms or combat sport gyms, right? Contact sports. Get involved in a business network where men are focused on success. Be around the people who challenge you to level up. The second thing is you need to stop looking for validation. One of the biggest mistakes men make, especially in relationships, due to seeking approval instead of respect. Women don't want to date their equals. They want to be with a man they look up to. This we know, it's ingrained in our head from the red pill. If you're constantly trying to please her, asking for permission, or adjusting yourself based on her mood, you're setting yourself up for massive failure, dude. It's going to be a complete battle every single day. The same goes for work, social settings, life in general. If you're constantly worried about what other people approve of you, you're playing the wrong game. The goal isn't to be liked by everyone. The goal is just to be respected. And respect comes from competence, confidence, and standing firm in your values, even if that means you might get some hate or people don't approve of what you have to say or it hurts their fucking feelings. Who cares? As long as your goals aren't, how could I say, compromised. Your values don't get compromised. You're fine. You can stand with a clear conscience. Okay. The third one is you take ownership of everything in your life. Okay. If you're out of shape, that's on you. Don't blame your fucking parents. Don't blame the food you eat. Don't blame the job you have and the access you might have over there in that kitchen. No, it's on you, bro. Complete ownership. You put the food in your mouth. You allow the trauma to keep haunting you in your later stages of your life. You're not fucking 12 anymore. You're a grown man. If your finances are a mess, that's on you. If you're stuck in a dead-end job, that's on you. Remember, dude, this is the most brutal, singular truth for all men. Nobody's coming to save you. And waiting for the world to be fair is a guaranteed way to stay exactly where you are. Men who succeed in any area, whether it's fitness, bodybuilding, or relationships, none of that, it doesn't matter, whatever. They're the ones who take full responsibility. They understand that they have power in their two hands, and that's it. That's all you have working for you. They don't blame their genetics for being out of shape. They fix their diet and train harder. They don't complain about bad luck at work. They build skills that make them undeniable. And they don't cry about how their dating life is unfair either. They just focus on improving themselves so they attract the kind of women that they actually want. And that's the real key to surviving in a world that's trying to weaken men overall. You don't fight the system. It's too large. You simply just outgrow it. Instead of wasting time arguing about how things should be or how things used to be, just accept reality. This is the game you're playing and learn how to win within it. Strength, confidence, and leadership, that shit will never go out of style. We liked it in the past, reveled in it. We elevated people that showed those kinds of traits, and we still do today, no matter what society tells you. Okay. But they're not handed to any man. You have to develop this kind of thing. And the moment you start focusing on what you can control instead of what's wrong with the world, your entire life will start to change. So I want to say, ask yourself this. Are you waiting for things to change, or are you stepping up and making those changes yourself? And that's what I want to leave you guys with, that question, because essentially at the end of the day, nobody's stopping you from being the kind of man you want to be except you, technically. That's really it. So I'll leave you guys with that one. And then let's jump in open forum. Thoughts, guys?
Hey guys.
What's up, Alan?
All right. I will keep this kind of short, and it's six the point home. Every business relationship that I've had that has gone to shit has involved a fat fuck. I'm not joking. I kid you not. I'm actually dealing with one right now. And yeah, it's amazing how those we undermine this a lot because obesity has become much more common nowadays. But it's uncanny like how both the body and everything else in life go hand in hand quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just your body is just a summation of all the decisions you made of your life too. So there's that as well. So it's kind of like the way we talk about chicks and body count. You can almost put that in analogy to that, where it tells you a lot about what the kind of decisions that these people have made beforehand, and what kind of attitudes that they may have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just it's just gone that way, and now I'm trying to clean up a lot of messes, and moving forward, that's like probably one of the bigger lessons that I've learned from all of them is, yeah, I'm going to look at that a little bit more deeper. And if I do run into somebody who's think they're the shit and they're fat as fuck, like I'm going to have to get receipts from them, a lot of receipts, a lot more. And that's just truly important. I mean, and the other thing is like one of the adages that we've heard of a lot is don't judge a book by its cover. We hear that a lot.
Mm.
I don't know about that. Like, there's some caveats to that. I'll let y'all, you know, I'll let you all savor that a little bit. Yeah, I'm not so sure if I agree with that anymore. So, anyway, my feel about that.
Yeah. Anybody else
Hey,
want
good
to
morning,
jump in?
guys.
Morning, brother. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for asking. Just to like go off what you guys were talking about, um, like based off my experience just recently, or I guess within, yeah, recently. So, pretty much like lost my job. I was unexpectedly like pretty much blackballed from everything I was doing,
Wow.
and yeah, unfortunate, but it is what it is, and I had to come to that realization that nobody's going to feel sorry for myself. Nobody's going to feel sorry for me. I'm the only one going to feel sorry for myself, and that's not going to do anything. So I had to give up everything I was doing and everything I built for the past 4 years and start fresh with something brand new. And you just gotta wake up every day and you know tell yourself that you're going to make this work. And even though everything you built got destroyed, doesn't matter. You got to still wake up the next day. And
Mhm.
you can't just wake up feeling sorry for yourself every single day. And if you just keep doing that over and over again, nothing's going to change. So I'd rather do something than not do something at this point. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Just change your mindset. And just one last thing, I'm really glad I joined this group. It sounds like there's a lot of good people in here, and having that group around you has a big impact. Is what I'm noticing. So thank you.
That's major, dude. Well, I can say something about having a group. Most of my life, I didn't really have a group. I had a few friends, maybe one or two, like most people do. And you consider them your best friends. And you kind of, let's just say it starts during school. Yeah, maybe elementary or maybe middle school, whatever. And then you graduate high school, you're really tight. And, people start to drift a bit. Maybe your friends get, a ride to a college that's out of state. They get accepted somewhere far away. Life starts to happen. Someone takes a job, blah, 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 somewhere else. And other people just want to move. So then you start to lose touch with that very tight, small group of friends that you have, if you could call it a group, one or two dudes, really. At least this is how my life played out. And, a few years after high school, you pretty much are guaranteed to lose touch with everybody, assuming you're in this kind of scenario. And what happened was I didn't really stumble upon what it meant to have your own tribe until much later in life. I had already went to college, or was going to college. I moved all the way to California from Atlanta. I stayed with a friend that's like now my brother, he's really close to me. His family's pretty much my family, but still, that was only one guy, and we had like auxiliary friends, like you could say, like mutuals. Like that guy, you're close, but he wouldn't be like someone you'd bleed in a foxhole with. You wouldn't call him a brother. And life also happens. They're graduating or they got their own kids. You're getting older now. People have shit to do, man. And you find yourself alone again as a man. And what I did was I ended up moving to Arizona to expand my business in remodeling and construction. So a few years after college, I moved there and I had a friend that I knew in Phoenix. He loved hiking. We met playing Xbox Live and we connected. And went on a hike, and he introduced me to a group of his friends because he was training jujitsu on one of the most like premier gyms in America, you could say. Like, it's one of the more popular ones in Phoenix and in the United States in general. And then we had an incredible time, made some deep bonds, especially hiking out in nature. We all found out that we were all pretty much wired in a very similar fashion, very type A, very high performing. Everything we did, we never toe dipped. You went balls to the wall, fully all in. And you were surrounded by men that were so good at their craft that it almost was like you could potentially be the weakest link in your group. And imagine you're doing everything you're supposed to do. You're advancing in life. You have successful businesses. Your body looks good. You're doing well on all fronts. And somehow still you've managed to find a group of men that operate at such a level that you're the weakest link, or you could be. And that's such a great feeling when you have a strong group of men around you and they don't let you fall. They don't let you falter in any way. They're always checking in on you. There will be moments where we didn't go on hikes for, let's just say, like a month. We used to go every week or every 2 weeks. It was our get away from the modern world, reset our souls, reset our minds, everything out there in nature alone for a full day. and we would come back completely refreshed. Obviously, the guys would open up about their problems. You had your guy time. You were alone. It was a super masculine energy with tough motherfuckers that beat people's heads in. Other dudes were like pro athletes. Other guys were just like top in their respective field or God knows what specializations in the military, blah, blah, blah. So everybody was super high level, dude. And everybody came together with all levels of expertise that you could never accomplish yourself. So what does that do for you? For example, here's how you could benefit. My friends are all black belts or professional MMA fighters, literally professionals on TV. I could go walk into an MMA gym where they will personally train me up and take care of me and make sure I learn everything that you're supposed to learn, cut all the bullshit out and get me ready, at least prepared enough within, whatever the fastest time that I could learn in to feel confident about myself, to be able to defend myself and to be able to at least be at a high enough level and maybe somewhat around them one day. Right. So I'm skipping all of that shit being taken care of. There's another guy that's an expert at weapons training, dude. He has all his certifications, everything. He trains with ex-special forces dudes, crazy shit. So it's like I could walk into a gun range where they're holding classes and have these guys really pay attention to me on an individual level because we know each other and tells me all the tricks, dude, all the knowledge, all that wisdom that takes decades to learn. The little things that normal teachers won't really teach you, all that stuff you have access to immediately. Do you know how quickly somebody like that can bring you up to their level or very close to because they're so competent at what they do? It's insane, dude. You get to a higher level than most people will reach going through the normal route of walking into a place blind and learning from the ground up, because that's what your brotherhood does for you. They basically shortcut you to their level. They want to see you succeed. They want to make you competent. Because if the weakest link, if that chain is strong as fuck, that just benefits everybody else. And we were all so good at whatever it is that we were doing at the time that we benefited each other greatly in multiple facets. Like I said, if I needed help with something or they needed help with something, you were getting help from somebody that's at a very high level at what they're doing. It's so refreshing when you meet people like that and have your own real tribe. And then we go out together, hang out together, do the weekends, barbecuing, grilling, watching MMA fights, shit like that, and just to be surrounded. That's how the YouTube podcast started, by the way. Funny enough, that tribe of men that I showed you guys, that's why the name was Tribe of Men, because it was those guys that were helping me build the podcast studio. Those guys originally were the ones that were supposed to be on the podcast with me that I was going to interview, at least to get it started for name recognition and all that other stuff. And they wanted to help. I had men. It's like some of them had done carpeting on their, as a side business and would come up, and I had 3-4 dudes at my house. One of them was a sound engineer at a high level. He worked with like Miley Cyrus and all these people. And he was like a pro level chef, cooking for all the fighters and doing meal plans. So it was like, I had meal plans. I had a dude that was doing like professional sounding studio setup. So he set up all my stuff. The other ones were building false walls for me to set up my studio. We were wiring everything up. I had a professional setup. Myself, no knowledge, bro. I had no idea how to record, zero how to edit, no idea what Final Cut was. I had to start from complete scratch. But when I started my complete scratch, they had elevated me to such a level that the first episode we ever recorded, it sounded like a professional fucking studio. I still remember some of the very first comments that we were getting on multiple videos were like, how the fuck do you guys not have millions of subscribers? This shit sounds professional. I know people with 500,000 subs that don't have a setup this professional, this well sounding. I'm like, I have like basically a world-class sound engineer that set up everything. Before I knew what the fuck anything was, what microphones to get, nothing, bro. Zero knowledge. This is the kind of benefit that you could derive from having those kinds of men in your circle. So, not to take up too much time, but this is what men need to strive for, is getting competent yourself so you could be able to surround yourself with these kinds of men. Not only will they benefit from your wisdom, but you from theirs as well. And they can help you leapfrog multiple aspects of life, because there's too many things to learn, too much nuance that you will never gain. And there's not enough hours in the day to become proficient at that level at every single thing you can possibly become proficient at. Like a guy might be really, like I said, weapons training, MMA, what is the other stuff? Business, finance, investments, real estate, cooking, blah, blah. You just don't have enough, man. There's not enough hours in the day. You have to become really good at one thing. And then that's the one thing you share with everybody else in your group. And so everybody has a specialty. That's why the Army, that's why everything's the Navy SEALs, when they do platoons and shit, little teams, everyone is a specialist at one thing. We're all very good in general, but everybody has their specialty, which they excel at. And the moment you are maybe, let's just say, thrust into a position to be leading based on that specialty, the alpha thing and beta shit that we talk about, that's all. Everybody's pretty much an alpha. It's contextual. Maybe we're talking about starting businesses, finance, all that shit, or let's just say YouTube. So I would become the alpha in the group talking about that. But the moment I step into the ring with them in a dojo, whatever, I'm now the newbie. I'm learning. I'm taking all the cues from them. Whoever it is that will be training me is the alpha there. So this alpha beta shit doesn't even matter. Once you get to this level with these kinds of guys, everybody's winning, dude. And this is where you start to enrich yourself financially, because these guys will be making decent money. You're making decent money. Everybody pulls together. You have a business idea. Hey, I want to buy some land. Everybody's been thinking of buying some land. Let's set up some like men's retreat kind of deal. Let's buy up a warehouse, turn it into a sick ass gym. Let's do this. Everybody's got ideas that you can pull together. And it's essentially everybody gets richer quicker by being together. This lone wolf shit doesn't work. Not that well. I'm sure some people have succeeded in doing it, but there's this Sigma male mentality bullshit, being all alone, against society expectations. I do things my way, all that shit. It's harder that way, bro. Just like in nature, it's much harder to be on your own. You will always benefit greatly by having a strong group of men. Yeah, the lone wolf shit is a lie. In nature, if you know anything about lone wolves, they often die. And they have to have very risky hunts in order to survive. Imagine trying to take down a huge animal like a deer, and they're in the fight for death. It takes hours to bring that animal down. Sometimes it's fatal for them. Oftentimes it's actually fatal. So, and they take massive risks because they're on the brink of starvation. Yeah, it's a lot more complex when you apply it to humans, but yeah. Good luck trying to do everything on your own. Almost everybody has like a little team or a group behind them that's helped them. Anybody, any CEO, anything like that. Anybody who started a business from their fucking garage, all that, just listen to them. They always had like a couple of dudes. There was like 2 or 3 of us working in the garage, busting our ass, and we started Apple. It was 2 or 3 of us in our college dorm, and we were working on Facebook. It was 2 or 3 of us. Everything was done in groups. You had help, and then you expand. But I don't know anybody. I mean, there has to be, statistically speaking, at least, there is somebody who did the lone wolf shit and succeeded massively, but that's an exception to the rule. Doesn't make the rule itself. So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on all that.